Most people have no idea how close they are to greatness. And the crazy part is that they spend their whole lives believing they are average, when, in reality, their mind has been operating on a completely different level from everyone around them. Society has created this narrow definition of what genius looks like: someone who solves complex equations, someone who memorizes textbooks, someone who wins awards in school. But that is a tiny slice of the truth. Genius isn't loud, it isn't always recognized, and it definitely isn't always rewarded. In fact, millions of hidden geniuses walk through life unnoticed, misunderstood, and severely underestimated. And many of them don't even realize that the way they think is rare, powerful, and far from normal. Maybe you're one of them. Maybe you've spent years feeling out of place, wondering why you think differently, why you learn quicker, why you feel things more intensely, or why you understand things people around you can't even grasp. And maybe no one ever told you that these aren't flaws, they're clues. Clues that your brain is wired in a far more advanced way than you've been led to believe. By the time you finish listening to this, you'll have a much clearer picture of whether you've been living with abilities that the world simply never taught. Think about your childhood or your teenage years. Maybe you weren't the strata student. Maybe you didn't fit into the school system, or maybe you were bored, distracted, or always in your own world. But here's the truth schools never tell you. School doesn't measure intelligence. It measures obedience. School rewards memorization, repetition, and the ability to follow a predictable structure. But real genius? Real genius questions the structure itself. Real genius sees patterns instead of rules. Real genius cares more about understanding than memorizing. That's why some of the most brilliant minds in history, Einstein, Edison, Tesla, Slay, Vinci, were labeled as difficult, slow, or unfocused in their early lives. Not because they lacked intelligence, but because their intelligence didn't fit the system. Maybe you've experienced something similar. Maybe you've always felt like your mind was racing ahead, while the world around you moved in slow motion. Maybe people told you that you think too much, ask too many questions, or overanalyze everything. But deep down, you couldn't help it. That leads to the first major sign of hidden genius. Your brain never stops questioning. You don't just accept things as they are. You want to know why they are that way? Most people cling to the first explanation they hear, but you dig deeper. You challenge assumptions. You break things apart in your mind and reconstruct them until they make sense. This isn't overthinking, this is high-level analytical intelligence. It's the same mental habit that scientists, inventors, strategists, and innovators share. Where others see a rule, you see a possibility. Where others see a problem, you see a pattern. Where others see a situation, you see multiple angles, consequences, and deeper meanings. This ability to question everything is not confusion. It's clarity on a higher frequency. The second sign of hidden genius is that you learn faster than you realize. Here's the interesting thing. When you're naturally good at something, you assume everyone else finds it easy too. You think it's normal, when in reality, it's a sign your brain absorbs information quicker, adapts faster, and connects ideas more efficiently than the average mind. Maybe you pick up skills in days that take others weeks. Maybe you understand concepts intuitively without needing long explanations. Maybe you can jump between ideas, hobbies, or interests and excel at all of them without formal training. This is called rapid learning adaptability, a major indicator of high intelligence. And the funniest part? Because it feels easy to you, you don't consider it special. But that's exactly what makes it special. You're operating at a natural level. Others have to struggle and practice for. The third sign of hidden genius is your depth of thought. Most people think at the surface level. They see what is directly in front of them and move on. But you go deeper. You're drawn to understanding the meaning behind actions, the emotions behind words, the patterns behind behavior, and the hidden connections behind life experiences. You don't just see events. You see lessons. You don't just see people. You see motives. You don't just see failures. You see transformations waiting to happen. Maybe you've always been more self-aware than people your age. Maybe you often feel like you're observing the world instead of just living in it. Maybe you spend nights thinking about life, purpose, identity, human behavior, or the future. Some may call it overthinking, but in reality, it's depth, a sign your mind works on a more complex, layered, and insightful level. This depth often makes you feel older than your age, more mature, or more aware of things that others ignore or simply cannot see. And this leads to one of the biggest truths about genius that most people never hear. Genius isn't about being the smartest person in the room. It's about thinking differently from everyone in the room. If even one of these signs sounded familiar, then you're not average. You're not slow. You're not confused. You're not lost. You're simply operating on a higher mental system in a world that doesn't teach you how to understand it. You may be a creator, a strategist, a thinker, an innovator, a philosopher, or someone capable of observing life in ways the average mind never will. You have insights others overlook. You make connections others can't sense. You see what others miss, and that is what makes you a hidden genius. The only real question now is this: what will you do with this gift? Will you ignore it because no one ever validated it? Will you hide it because the world made you feel different? Or will you finally start developing it, exploring it, and trusting it? Because somewhere inside you is a sharper, stronger, more powerful version of yourself. A version that has been waiting for recognition, direction, and belief. If even one sign connected with you, say it proudly. Comment, "I'm a hidden genius." And if you want more mind-opening content like this, make sure to follow along,